discussion now so that we can stick to our time schedule as well as possible. Thank you all so very much for joining, and thank you to our wonderful speakers. They all had such interesting points. We're going to do a very open and fluid panel discussion, and we'll try to make sure we hear from as many as possible on each of the questions. And the first question is around biodiversity, or as Eric referred to, just nature. So we have we've had a lot of references to biodiversity in our different talks, and I just wonder if you could all paint a picture for us of how biodiversity really best can contribute to the health of our crops, our food systems, and to our own health. So what does really excellent biodiversity in the context of food production in Ireland look like? And I'll just pass this along to anyone who's willing to answer.
Well, I'll just say a very small bit of that, and I don't have a huge background obviously in biodiversity, but I suppose from a health point of view, when we talk about the kind of food or the kind of diet that I was mentioning before, the whole food plant-based diet, I suppose, being able to say that that's a nutritionally complete diet is contingent upon people eating a wide variety of fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds. And I think in an Irish context, there is great scope for growing lots of different varieties of food, and we've perhaps as a society become very wedded to monoculture depending on the different areas that we live in, and I think that's something that makes that sort of eating not sustainable, because you have to have that variety of different nutrients in order to allow yourself to survive and thrive from a health point of view. And I suppose that's kind of not even kind of factoring in then I suppose the mental health benefits of existing within biodiversity in terms of nature and the benefits that brings as well. So, yes.
Shall I give it a go? Biodiversity, nature. I suppose when you're walking along the road or walking along a country lane or walking through a field, and you see a field that has a lot of flowers in it, looking at a very simple scenario, it's probably going to do an awful lot more than just provide food for bees. It's probably going to sequester, that means to take in a lot of carbon, of course, and it's going to store a lot more carbon. When rain falls on it, you're not going to get the soil being washed away so quickly. And so biodiversity is a massive indicator of the health of an environment. I was involved in an interesting project in the development of these results-based schemes that I ranted on about earlier on. And one, we're looking at in Navarra in Spain, and right on the Rioja border, and we're looking at low-intensity vineyards, olive groves, and almond groves. And there, the big push is to intensify vineyards, and we all love Rioja wine, and we'll hopefully have a glass later on. But from a biodiversity perspective there, in the intense vineyards, they don't have any reptiles that would have been everywhere in years past. In the less intense, the ones that they have, they're kind of still in straight lines. The vines, for example, in the middle of what they call the streets, between the gap, essentially between vine rows, they've got a nice array of wildflowers and whatever. They don't have any problems with soil erosion, and there the soil erosion is dramatic. You've got maybe a half a litre of a gouge that's taken out every time there's a really heavy rainfall event. So biodiversity is a massive indicator for the health, the overall ecosystem health. It's only one of the functions, I suppose, of the ecosystem, but it's a massive indicator. So for me, biodiversity is the classic and beautiful indicator.
I agree. In the ideal small farm, you would be building an ecosystem. And you're manipulating nature because you want parts of it to do what you want it to do, but you're willing to negotiate with nature, as in you let parts of it do what it wants to do. And by that, you'd be looking at a variety of different roots for different sorts of effect on the soil and microbiology, like deep-rooted, rooted trees, integrating trees, hedgerows, native hedgerows, ponds. We've got 2 ponds, we're digging another one in our wet areas, and then we've got a wild area that links back to woodland through the hedgerows. But from our point of view, it's really important for us for pest control. because if you've got a monoculture of carrots, and carrots I'm taking as an example because they're particularly susceptible to carrot fly. And so if you've got a massive monoculture of loads of acres, you either have to net it as an organic farmer or you've got to spray it as a non-organic farmer. But if you can integrate it in amongst other plants, you're deterring the pests through the mixed sense. Whatever the pests would usually go for, they don't tend to pick up as much in the mixed system. So that's the benefit of biodiversity as we see it. But mainly it's the ecosystem. We want to be part of an ecosystem.
I suppose from growing salad production, what we've seen is what we tend to use, we feed the ground first with a multi-species green manure, so we tend to feed the soil to lift up the soil. So for me, it's healthy soil, healthy crop, healthy people. So if my soil is low, you can figure out the rest yourself. I'm after high soil, healthy soil, and then the rest happens to me. How we do that is there's experimentation in Germany, the gene experiment, and they've shown that as we've moved through multi-species, which is just moving from 5 to 16, that we've got better organic matter in our soils. So we've also sequestered carbon, which was mentioned, but we've also got more biology in the soil. So when we add that diversity to the soil above it, we also get, because of the exudates from each plant, diversity below the soil. And now I've got biodiversity in my soil. And from my own experience experimenting with that is that we see what we would call humus and biology in the soil, we see that increasing. And that means we've healthier soil and healthier crop. And for where we're going is we're just adding more and more species to have more diversities to our green manures to really up that so we get healthier soil. So I'm all for it in the soil.
I forgot to say balance. That was my only point. I said everything else except balance.
This is a bit sobering, but just on the topic of biodiversity, one thing that I have noticed in just the change over my short lifetime is that these are things that I think it's very easy to miss. But even a few years ago, whenever I'd go outside in the afternoon in the summertime, I'd have to wear one of those midge hats for the midges. And then this summer, I don't think we brought them out a single time. My mother can maybe correct me, she's in the audience. But it's the number of midges has decreased very significantly, at least in my own experience. And Derek talked about birds, robins, bird song. This is something that I would hear usually when I would go to sleep at night. And when you pay attention to these things, you do notice that it might be a small change, but a small change can have a big difference. And I know this is a bit sobering, but I think it's important to recognize what the changes are and what is happening in order to be able to address it.